Call that one done. That's good. What other bugs should we fix for this update? Or are there features that we should do that are pretty easy to do? None of those look that important. They're all pretty minor bugs. You know what? I'm going to do this one. Our Academy screen, it's actually something HiSight noticed in his preview of the game, is that when you go to the Academy, it doesn't really give you an there's no tooltips yet. We've been working on enhancing the user experience all throughout the game. That's one of the areas that hasn't gotten much love yet. So let's go take a look there. Should be pretty easy to do. All right. Have you been to the Academy? I made the gold display a little cooler.
You just add the UI stuff.
Because that was actually, we're not using that anymore, because that was the UI for the gold when it was in the thing. I was like, oh, I'll just use it there. All right, so what I need to add are mouse overs for these dudes here. So you don't have to click on them to figure out what they do. And mouse overs for these guys here. So let's see. Trying to find a simple, the ability tooltip, that's what I want. Another simple tooltip. Format this guy while I'm at it. All right, so first I will do a I'm going to call this Academy Building Tooltip. Okay, so I just basically copied over another class just to get the basics in place for tooltips. And then we need to close this, open up the Academy scene. Let's look at. There's the barracks. So that is a new building script. Some of the stuff I need to clean up. It's way harder than it should be to change the names of things in Unity. Like this is a script that's associated with a game object. You can change the name of the script. You can't really change the name of the script here. You can rename the file the script is in, but that doesn't change the name of the class. So if you want to change things, that's one of the refactorings. I wish there would be an easier. Maybe there is an easy way to do it, and I'm not aware of it. But changing this. So at one point we had a building script, and then we wanted to change it. So I made a new building script, and then deleted the building script. And I would love to change this back to building script, but there's not an easy way to do it without breaking a bunch of stuff that I found. So I just left it called new building script. I'm going to format this guy. So again, remembering how all this stuff works is half the battle. So things that have tooltips implement this tooltip provider interface, which is just stuff that we've custom written for our game. So we're going to make him a tooltip provider. Now this is another nice thing with ReSharper, is it says, hey, you haven't implemented the required methods for that interface. So it lets you generate them easily. So it just generates the 3 methods that method implements. And then you actually need to, of course, implement them yourself. So tooltips need a game object to be shown relative to. So in this case, it's the building script itself. They need a data object, which is basically the tooltip will render stuff about the thing that's being moused over. Everything in our game, there's a game object that represents it, and then there's an underlying model. So in this case, there's an actual thing called a building. So here's the building object that will be, so it says we've got this sort of shared state called app state, and the Fury Academy is the Academy for Dungeoneering. A long time ago the game actually used to be called Fury, and then we realized that was not a very good name for the game because there was a lot of conflicts with other games, so we changed the name to We Slay Monsters. And then we need the name of a prefab to show, so we're going to call this Academy Building Tooltip, which does not exist, so we're going to go create that next. So we'll go to our prefabs, tooltips. Most of our tooltips are pretty similar. So I'm just going to clone this guy and call it Academy Building Tooltip. And of course I'm going to change him, the script he uses, to be Academy Building Tooltip. Ugh. All right, so we should be able to, we have to do another couple of things. We have to tell it when to show the tooltip. So this guy needs sorry, I'm just looking at this trying to remember how it works, so give me just a sec. Right. He has buttons. There's 4 different buttons for each level of the academy. And that's where the actual colliders are, and it's the colliders that give you the ability to mouse over things. So let's see. So I think buttons, we already built in the ability to handle mouse overs. Maybe not. Sorry, I'm just thinking about how to do this. I may have to make a special kind of button instead of these guys just being tappable buttons, which is what they are now. It probably have to be a special kind of button. So I probably need to create a subclass of tappable button. Right, this is what I was thinking about. So for radio buttons are when you click on the button that radio menu shows, there's 5 or 6 or 3 or 4 buttons around it. They have the ability to have a tooltip handler set. And if the tooltip handler is set, it will trigger the tooltip. So what I probably need to do is pull this guy up into tappable buttons. So all tappable buttons can have a tooltip handler. Tooltip handlers, what do they look like? Yeah, okay. So I think that's what I'm going to do. Hopefully this won't break anything. So I'm going to pull this into tappable button. This needs to be in the on mouse over of tappable button, which it has a mouse over. thought it did. On mouse over. So I don't want any of that to be there. So the first thing I probably need to do is make sure that I haven't broken Okay, so everything's saved. I'm going to make sure that this change that I made doesn't break the regular tooltips for the ability buttons and doesn't introduce any errors anywhere. It's showing the tutorial because I deleted the tutorial file. So this all looks fine. I'm not seeing, let me make sure, no error messages here. All right, so that tooltip works. Those look pretty good. Okay, so I did not break anything. It's always important when you're implementing new functionality, don't break old functionality. So basically now, any tappable button has the ability to respond to a tooltip handler. Let me see where this guy is used. Game object, data object, prefab name. Okay, so back to my building script. This. All right, so this guy, because there's a tooltip provider, this guy is no longer going to be a tooltip provider. Instead, he will give each of the buttons a tooltip handler. So that should actually be enough to work. Oh, I need to actually do something to make sure. So get rid of tooltip handler, radial button, tappable button. Academy building. Okay, so that should be enough for a basic tooltip to show now when I mouse over each building in the academy. Let's just go make sure that works. Whenever I'm approaching development, I really try to be as incremental as we can. That did not work. There's some stuff that's really totally busted. So what did it not like? Object reference. Right. Because at the time this starts, so I just need to do this there. I was trying to assign on start. You haven't even loaded anything yet. You haven't loaded a saved academy. You haven't done anything. So I was trying to do something I shouldn't have done. Now it's going to work. Hello, people that have joined lately. How are you doing today? You should chat and stuff if you like to. Or if you have any questions about what the heck I'm doing or what this whole thing is about, just let me know. I'm happy to answer them. Working on adding some tooltips to our Academy screen. And there it is. So obviously we do not want the tooltip showing up underneath the Academy because that's really bizarre. It's funny though. All right, so how do I fix that? So it's showing relative to the buttons, but what I probably need is a way to force it position. So what I probably need to do is add a Okay, so provide a way to override the... We show it in the same place we show the tutorial. Oh, hey, still time, and hello, Rusty Rain. Sorry, I asked everyone to chat, and then I just ignored you. I get tied up in what I'm doing here. No, so what we normally do is, I did not make the art for the game. The artist couldn't make it today, so normally when we stream, we switch back and forth, and maybe spend an hour doing development and an hour showing art. So today we have no art to share, so I probably should have updated the title to reflect that, but today it's just development. So if you came to see art, sorry. I could open up GIMP and draw something for you if you like. I'm not going to do that. That's just, that's a joke. Okay, so let's see how that looks. I'm not a particularly good artist. I can do stuff if I have to. It's always something I've wanted to be able to do, but I have to actually spend time and learn. Okay, so that looks good. Got basic tooltips in place now. So now we need to add some more stuff, like basically, what the heck is the building? So each academy building I believe they have a description, which they sure do. So now we'll take that description and add that to our building tooltip. Pretty much just going to copy what we do in this other tooltip. Which does exactly what I want it to, which takes the description, splits that into lines that will fit neatly into the tooltip, and then adds text meshes into the scene for that. So let's see how that looks. Yeah, last week our artist actually spent a lot of time showing how we did some animations. So there we go. Now we have the text on there. Can probably be a little more generous with the number of lines so that it doesn't stack as much and that the lines are a little bit longer. Our artist was doing animations for some of the effects that we have in the game. So this is the number of characters to split. It's just a utility we wrote. So I'm going to make it 34. See how that looks. Just add 10 more characters. That looks a little better. Probably need to add a tooltip for this guy. As soon as he becomes a real building. Right now he's just a placeholder. We're going to add a Hall of Records to the game that basically keeps track of like monsters that you've killed and basically a bunch of interesting statistics about the game. All right, see you, Rusty. Thanks for stopping by. You know what? I think I will go ahead and make that a real building. Well, I need to focus on one thing at a time, so I will not. I'm going to call that. Looks pretty good. All right, so the next thing is to do something similar for the actual buttons that show when you click on a building in the Academy. So let's take a look at that. So if people that haven't seen me today, what I've been doing is I've recently switched from using MonoDevelop to build Unity games to Visual Studio with ReSharper. So one of the things that MonoDevelop did terribly was code formatting. It really did not have a lot of options, and it would do wacky things with code format. So I kind of just picked a format that I was used to and stuck with it. But ReSharper and Visual Studio have much better code formatting tools. So every time I come to a file that's formatted the old way, I will do the trusty full cleanup with ReSharper, which does in addition to code cleanup, does a bunch of stuff to make the code just better and easier to understand. So that's what I do when I hit a file like this. So I reformat it. You can see it. Not only does it change the format for things, but it makes things read only where it can, and converts things where I was using int to vars. I'm coming from the Java world, so I still use a lot of Java idioms, and they work in C#, but they're not idiomatic for C#. So this helps me sort of get more used to C# coding. So here's the part where I need to add the tooltips. So this guy needs to have a tooltip handler. And I'm going to look at the ability radial menu. Trying to remember where that is. Building upgrade tooltip. So this is a little bit wacky. There's the buttons. That's funny. Sorry, I missed your question earlier. We asked streaming every day. No, we stream for sure on Sundays, and then really throughout the week. So we're kind of part-time indie developers. We all have full-time jobs, so we stream for sure on Sundays because we work on the game every Sunday, and then throughout the week, sometimes our artists will get on and stream, and I'm going to probably start streaming when I can, mostly in the evenings, but probably very irregularly. Hello, Zoop. How are you doing today? Welcome. So what I was explaining here, so the way tooltips work is basically they have an object that they can show a tooltip for. And in this case, we have buttons that when you click them, they can kind of do different things. One of them can do an upgrade, and then one of them can do an actual, can upgrade the building itself, like raise it from a level 1 building to a level 2 building, and the other a building has upgrades that can individually be upgraded. So the barracks, for example, you can upgrade the warrior's ability to the bull rush ability can have 3 levels. So it's in this case, sometimes the button does one thing and sometimes it does something else. So probably none of that made sense because it's our game and it makes sense to me, of course. But okay. So now I need to make a building upgrade tooltip. So this stuff is not correct at all because I just copied this over from the other class. So this is another nice feature of ReSharper if you haven't seen it. You can just type the name of a method that you want and then Alt-Enter on it, and then create method, and then it will just create it for you. I'm going to have to think this one through. Because this is probably not correct. Okay, so probably sorry. Let me clean up some of my stuff here and then figure out what I'm trying to do. So the tooltip, the first button that shows on the radial menu is upgrade the building itself. You can take the building from level 1 through level 2. Yes, this is C#. So I'm doing, yeah, so sorry, let me answer two things. So Still Time was saying Visual Studio has this feature too. So I'm new to Visual Studio. I've been using IntelliJ IDEA for Java for a very long time. So I'm used to you can set up ReSharper for Visual Studio. So some of the features that I say are ReSharper may just be Visual Studio features, so I should probably stop saying everything's ReSharper. But yes, this is Visual Studio, this is C#. Unity you can use Unity Script, which is a variant of JavaScript, or you can use C#. And I'm used to C# because it's very much like Java, since that's what I have done the most of in my career. So hopefully answered all your questions. And thanks for checking out the game, yeah. You should definitely check it out for sure. It's pretty awesome. But I'm biased, of course. Right, so here... All right, so the first button upgrades the building itself. So what I'm going to pass in for the tooltip is the building itself. For the other buttons, I'm going to pass in the building upgrade that it represents. So that way I can show the appropriate tooltip. So the choices here aren't going to be, they're going to be an Academy building. Yeah, so this, I don't actually know if this is ReSharper or IntelliJ doing this. So. Okay, so I'm not going to do that. So the first thing let's do is let's get some stuff going here so we can actually see the tooltip in action. Like I mentioned earlier, I like to do things iteratively, so I like to get something working as soon as possible and then just iterate on it. Okay, so there's my building upgrade tooltip. Now I actually have to go create that tooltip. So those are all tooltips are prefabs in Unity. They're all very similar. I should probably find a better way to do it than continuing to clone these, but I haven't yet. Academy. I think that's what I called it. What did I call it? Building upgrade tooltip. Whoopsie. All right, so that should be everything that's necessary to render a basic tooltip. So let's see how that looks. Nope. Clearly something is wrong. Right. No. What is wrong? That's a little puzzling. Trying to find the camera that can see this guy. So that one gives an error. Okay, so this is, I mean, sure this is just a bug in my code. And it'll probably be something very simple. So why? Why, oh why, oh why? If anyone has any ideas, just shout it out. Haha. I know no one knows this because this is all my code. So it cannot find a camera. Provider. So why can't it see a cam? Why can't it do that? Doesn't make any sense. Maybe it's something to do with the mesh. Yeah, that's where I'm going to go next. I'm not used to using the debugger in Visual Studio because the one that was in MonoDevelop was so terrible, and it would end up crashing Unity so often that I'm not used to using the debugger. So it's probably a good idea. I'll look in my scene. I will go to the debugger next. All right, debugging, here we go. I hit a breakpoint for another tooltip. Okay, so it found that renderer. So this is definitely that button. It has a mesh. That does not look right. Well, this is embarrassing. So that's the right camera. So there's only one camera in the list of all cameras. So why is it saying that the camera can't see that renderer when clearly it can see it because it's rendering it? Very frustrating. Well, I'm a bit stymied. But yeah, I did that. So where I know where it's throwing the exception right here. So I know that this is coming back. It's a null pointer exception. So I know that diving into this method, which is what I did, it's saying find me a camera that can see that game object. And it's returning no camera in this case, which doesn't make any sense because the camera can clearly see the game object because it's rendering it. So it's probably something subtle. I just don't know. What I'm not sure is why it's saying that it can't see it. And this code is a little opaque to me. I'm not a super duper 3D expert. So something about this code when it says test planes AABB, which is a Unity method, it's saying the frustum planes of this camera don't intersect with the bounds of that object. Yeah, so it's... And I don't want to get caught up on this. This is probably not super interesting to watch me debug through this stuff. So I may spend a little bit more time on it and then move on to something else if I can't figure it out. I definitely ran into this before when I was working on tooltips, and I just, for the life of me, can't remember what I did to fix it. 5 buttons. Button number 1 is this guy. I know what it is, I think. I totally know what it is. Maybe. Yeah. Yeah, I think I know what it is. I don't know how the other one works, actually. It's a little interesting to me. Let me go look at see if I change the... Yeah, I totally know what it is. This is exactly the same problem I ran into in the dungeon screen. And I solved it here. I solved it somehow. No, never mind. I don't know how it works. Ah, okay. Now I remember. Sorry. The reason it's failing is because there is a renderer associated with the button that's not actually rendering anything. So you can see in the scene here, there's a button with a background and an icon, but the button has a renderer associated with it, but there's nothing for it to actually render. So if I remove this renderer, it'll totally work. So this is exactly the problem with the last one. Some of those ability buttons are stuff that was written a really long time ago, and probably just had some that stuff that was attached to it. Okay, so now I'm not getting the error. But it's not working either. So let's see what else is different. I don't know what I did here to close this. There we go. Sorry, I was still getting used to Visual Studio, so messed that up. Okay, so why is this not working? See if I broke my radial buttons for the character. I tested that earlier and it was working. So those are not broken. Let's see what those look like. So they have a collider. New radial button. All right. Let's go back to the Academy screen and see if I can figure out why this is not working. So in the before show for the thing that works, it sets up a bunch of stuff. The before show set up a bunch of stuff. So what's different? So it's creating an object for it and then never showing it. So what okay, so it's totally showing it. I think it's just showing it off the screen for some reason. So why would that be? The Academy camera. Okay, so it's showing. Oops, I don't want to move the camera. Okay, so that's the problem, is that it's actually showing the tooltip, it's just showing it off the screen. So I just have some sizing problems with where things are. So that menu was showing pretty much right up against the camera. So when I showed the tooltip a little bit ahead of that, it pushed it outside of the view range of the camera. Okay. So I think we're getting much closer. See, this is what happens when you cut and paste. That's why they were messed up. They were always setting the tooltip for item 0 in the list, because I cut and pasted it from earlier, from up above in the code. All right, that looks a little better. So now all we need to do is do the proper text. We're good. So really for the upgrade, all right. You can look at the other tooltip that I just did. So then that'll say like Academy upgrade to level 2, since that's the option for build. And then for the upgrade, I want to say if you basically want to purchase the ability or upgrade the ability to the next level. Those are the two choices with the buttons. All right, so let's try that. It's looking pretty good. Okay, so once I purchase an ability, it should say upgrade. That's good. All right, I think that looks pretty good. That's good enough to call it done at least. Actually, I might want to change that. Instead of ability, call it upgrade, because they're called building upgrades. All right, good. Hooray, finished another thing. So we've added our tooltips. Yes, still time. Yeah, the problem was that there was a renderer. I'll show you real quick. This was just probably a cut and paste bug from a long time ago, or I just changed the way that it worked at some point. But in the menu, there was a parent game object and then two children that were the actual background of the button and then the icon itself that goes on top of the button. At some point, I think this guy actually had a sprite attached to him, but he didn't, but he still had the renderer. So the error was telling me was actually true. It found the renderer that was associated with the object, but it wasn't actually rendering anything because it had no actual mesh or information attached. It was in a child game object. So yeah, remove the renderer and totally fixed it. Which I should have remembered. I had to do the exact same thing on the other buttons, but that was like a week ago, so, you know, I've slept a lot since then. All right. Try to find something else that I can do in about 30 to 40 minutes. Probably going to stream today until about 4 o'clock, so maybe another half an hour. And then we're going to call it a day. So just trying to find something that will be work I can finish in about half an hour. So this is, if you haven't heard us talk about it, we use Trello to track all of our tasks that we need to get done for the game. We have a bunch of different lists with a bunch of different things to do, so when it's time for me to look for something new to do, I come here and try to find something. and we do a little bit of planning. Like right now, we're working on update 25 of the game. I'm trying to get that out tonight. Yes, we're in the USA. We're actually in Dallas, Texas. We're trying to get update 25 out tonight. Because it's been, we usually like to try to release updates about every 3 or 4 weeks, but we've been working on adding a new profession to the game, the Rogue, and it's just a lot of work because you have to add the cards and all the effects that go along with them. So it's kind of slowed us down a bit. So we're going to go ahead and put out everything we've got done except the Rogue, and then hopefully get the Rogue done in the next couple of weeks and do another update. So this is how we use Trello. So we try to kind of plan things that will be in the next release. And then we have a general inbox of features that need to be implemented. I'm still not seeing anything that's particularly easy to do. Are you adding a custom... Did you do the thing where you're adding the... Like if you fail?
I did not.
I will do that.
Okay. No, wait. I
Like
did
where-
add it to the mission.
Okay. You just added a custom, another if block in the game over screen?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did I check that in?
Let me go check. I'm talking
Take a
to
look at game
Nick.
over screen and see if it has... Because I moved it into... still in the game over screen.
Hero died and prisoner died.
Mm-hmm.
So it was not able to save.
Yes, that's it.
Was there a case where the prisoner was null?
I don't think so.
Did you put that in there just in case?
Just in case.
Okay.
Because the other one had just in case, but for a null killer.
Yeah, that can. I mean, I think the only time the killer can be null is like you're standing in fire or some. Yeah, you let yourself die because of the ground's on fire. Yeah, I don't know.
I might be having some difficulties with our bandwidth, maybe.
Yeah, it could be. We've
Because when I did a git fetch, it was really slow.
really. Yeah, it might be on our side actually. I'm going to stop watching the stream on my second computer.
Is there a way just to see the chat?
I don't know. Like there,
That's all you need is just a chat.
yeah. So I can actually see it. I'm using MooBot, which is like a thing. So from that, I can actually see the chat. So I turned off streaming on our side.
I'm streaming also. What if I just hit pause?
I don't know. Well, I guess if Still Time's able to see it from Slovakia, it may not be us. So yeah, it might be you loaded. I can't read your... I'm not sure if it's you or not. So I've stopped streaming on my second computer, so let's see if that helps at all. Right, so what I'm going to do is... something that wasn't even on the list, but that I've been wanting to do for a while.
So I tried to add some custom names for the prisoners, and I forgot. I knew this before, but now I've forgotten that the Markov name generator takes chunks of names. So now my animal names don't make any sense.
Well, I mean, you could just, I mean, I guess you could just make a different kind of name generator that, like the town name generator doesn't do that.
Okay.
It just takes parts of words and throws them together. Not parts of words, it takes full words and throws them together. That is funny, though. So it's just a bunch of gobbledygook.
Yeah.
Yikes. Sorry, I just bumped into the green screen. Hopefully that didn't screw everything up.
Now
And we all stopped streaming, so we have no idea how the video looks. Actually, I can go here and see. That still looks okay. Right. So let me clean up where I am. I want the game over screen. Right, so what we have in the game right now we have several types of missions. So when you play the game, I'll just show you real quick. There are 4 different kinds of missions currently in the game. There's really only 3. So these are different missions. So this is a random mission. This is an arena mission. And one of these is going to be a rescue mission. Yeah. So this is a rescue mission where you have to rescue a certain number of whatevers, kittens or old men or dogs. There's several different things you have to rescue. So each of these is a different type of mission in the code. So as you can see, there's missions, which is an abstract base class in C#. And then you've got random mission, rescue mission, story mission, and arena mission. Story mission is kind of a placeholder right now. When we have campaign mode, which we haven't done yet, story mission represents something you have to complete to push the story forward. Whereas random missions and rescue missions are just things that are sort of side quests. You can do them just for fun. So the only thing that's in the game right now is the random missions. There's no campaign yet. So we want to add if you fail a particular mission, there's a little story that shows about why you failed. And basically, that not why you failed, but oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I can't. This is gonna be much harder than I thought, because there's 2 ways to fail a rescue mission.
You can die. You can.
So maybe I don't even want to do it.
That's good. There would have been conflicts.
Yeah, this is much harder than I thought. So I just talked myself out of something. See?
Make a story generator for the rescue, because now it's using or at least the name of the dungeon seems to not make any sense with the rescue.
It did. I made a special rescue
Did
thing.
you?
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe I just remember a while back.
Yeah. No. There's a rescue mission name generator now.
Okay. But a story also needs.
Right. Because now the story just says rescue 3 kittens or whatever. Sorry, everyone. Didn't mean to lead you all astray. So I'm not going to do that, because basically there's no one reason why you can fail a dungeon. Well, like in random missions, there's only one way to fail: die. In rescue missions, you can fail because something you were trying to rescue died, or because you yourself died. So it's just going to be too complicated. So I'm going to just go back to where I was and do something else. So story generator for random missions, or for all right, Nick suggested that I make a story generator for rescue missions, so I'll do that. So by stories, we mean there's basically a when you're playing the game, I'll show you again. So there's you can see here, I can't move my mouse to show you, but this says the mission has a name, which is the baffling mystery of the unavailable green jewel. Oh, that's funny. I just noticed the tooltips the little sheep are walking on the tooltips. I need to step away for a second. I've got to take this phone call, so I'll be right back. Hold on a second. Sorry, I'll be right back. Hello? How are you? Okay, sorry everyone. Normally I would not answer the phone, but I had to. So anyway, so when you start a mission, it actually generates, so this is the mission title, or the name of the mission. And then this kind of gives you, this is the short intro, which basically tells you what it is. So you're supposed to get the green jewel from this boss in the dungeon. But then once you actually start the game, it generates a story that kind of gives you a little bit of flavor text that shows while the game is loading. So this really just exists to help pass the time. Well, thanks for checking out our game. Hope you like it. Yeah, Stack Overflow. I do a ton of that too. Trying to remember, especially with C#. I've gotten better on it, but I end up there a lot. So anyway, that was the story. Basically, it's just some flavor text that gives the player something to do while the dungeon is actually being generated in the background. All the dungeons are randomly generated. So while it's being generated and while basically everything's being set up, it just gives something for the player to read. So let's look at our so random mission. Just gotta remember how this works. So dungeon story generator. Is a map story generator. So I'm going to go ahead and format this guy while I'm at it. So essentially, so you can see these are the random stories. Essentially, they're like Mad Libs. So we've kind of written our own small language for writing these things. And the idea is that we're going to have several of, right now there's like 8 or so different random little texts, and they're just some wacky little things, and then it has words that are substituted in to make them personalized. So you can see there's kind of just word lists, past tense verbs, again, all of these different things that are put together to generate a story. And we have this thing called Mad Libs, which takes a template, a list of words, and a seed, and then generates the name. And the word lists are basically just a dictionary with a word to substitute. That's like the Mad Lib style word, and then a list of possible words to choose to put in that spot. So this is the dungeon story placeholder. So I'm going to make one of these for rescuing whatever's lost. We're going to call this rescue story generator. So I just cheated and copied the dungeon story generator for now. So now I'll set this guy up to and close all this other stuff. So cool. When you say text-based, is it like text meaning more like roguelike, or text meaning like an adventure game, where it's more like the old school interactive games? Cool. Yeah, those are fun. I spent a ton of time messing around with those when I was very young, many, many years ago. I wrote a bunch of old school text adventure games after playing the heck out of like Zork and the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, all the old Infocom games. I played the heck out of them when I was a very small person. And then I decided to write my own, and I spent just hours and hours and hours just writing my own adventure games. And now, like there's a bunch of really neat tools around interactive fiction stuff. So, okay. So intro now. We'll basically do the same thing that random mission does. Sorry, I paused here because I'm trying to figure out the best way to do this. Basically there's a map summary, which is a bunch of stuff about the current dungeon, and then there's the dungeon itself, and these are persisted. So when the game is saved, it saves map summaries. Later on, so that was all there in the very beginning of the game. Later on, we added missions. So there's still a little bit of how missions and maps interact is still not great. So just thinking about this. So this is the dungeon persistence. Essentially, the dungeons are persisted as JSON objects. So here's a saved file. What I'm trying to look at is how the so the story is persisted. Just trying to figure out the order in which things happen. So when loading, a init's called. The thing I'm struggling with is I need to generate the story for the mission. I need to know the name of the thing that's being rescued. Why'd you have to tell me to do something that was hard, Nick? Yeah, I'm not going to finish this today. I need to unwind this a little bit. It's a little not right. The life cycle of this stuff is not quite correct. So might be a good place to end for the day. We're always going to end in about 8 minutes anyway. So I think I'll do that. I think I'm going to go ahead and stop for the day. I appreciate everyone's time coming by. Check us out. We've got 2 programmers working on this. So there's 2 programmers. The whole company is 2 programmers and 1 artist, and we're all friends, and that's one of the reasons it's taken us so long to work on it, because we're a very small team. We've also got a guy we met that's doing all the sound effects and music. He's doing a really great job. We're very pleased with how that's coming out. So essentially it's the 4 of us working on the game, 2 programmers, 1 artist. So I appreciate everyone stopping by and spending the afternoon with us. And like I said, go check us out, WeSlayMonsters.com. And we'll be back next Sunday with some more streaming, and we will maybe stream during the week if we get a chance. So well, thank you, appreciate it. So all right, I'm gonna go ahead and sign off, guys. I'll talk to you later. Follow us if you haven't already, and we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.